Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. I very welcome my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Hello, and welcome back to Big Mouth. And you can keep this or any other conversation I ignite going on over on my Twitter, @MoviesTVMad, my Vero, @BigMouth1, which I should definitely post on a lot more. And the extension to this channel, kind of, is my Instagram, BigMouth1. Oh, I can't remember what. Oh my God, 11289. That's my Instagram. Hello and welcome to my latest Doctor Who video. We'll be discussing the possibilities of live action Torchwood coming back. Whether you lot who love Big Finish Torchwood or not, it's great, it's audio, but we should have audio and live action back. We need both. Simple as that. John Barrowman has spoken about this, and we're going to preview this week's episode of Doctor Who and talk a little bit more about the divisiveness of what Chris Chibnall is trying to do. Right, let's talk about this possible and to Torchwood return. News, John Barrowman has said he thinks Torchwood has more of a chance of returning to TV now than ever before. After having conversations with Chris Chibnall, John has more confidence in a potential Torchwood revival. So this is what's been said. He states, without going into too much detail, I actually a while back contacted Chris. I remember this, by the way. He was the Torchwood showrunner for a while. I was doing meetings with different production companies all around the US, including the CW. And the one thing out of everyone's mouth was, how would we get hold of Torchwood to do it? And I thought that's an interesting question. And a lot of people were asking that. How can we get hold of that brand to do it? To start making it again? So I then started putting the feelers out and contacting people. And I actually wrote to Chris and I said to him, would he be interested in being part of something like that? Or something like that? I can remember how the email went. I can't remember how the email went. He emailed me back and he said, as you probably know, I'm in the middle of something very big at the moment. And I said, can't discuss anything else? But he said, let's talk when things calm down a bit. And that was at the beginning of his negotiations with Doctor Who. Who knows? If anyone can do it, it's Chris. Chris is the one who can make the decisions because it's always the decision of the showrunner of Doctor Who. The difference is, John, your original showrunner who introduced you and your character was Russell T Davies. Let's be clear here. Russell T Davies owns the keys of Torchwood. Forget the BBC element of it. This doesn't happen without Russell T Davies being up for it. We'll talk about that in a moment. I was told that's the person who can decide about bringing back Torchwood or Captain Jack to Doctor Who. Well, very interesting. Now, I don't know how old these quotes are, by the way, but let's discuss. John Barrowman, if you ever come across my video, I don't ever want to hear come out of your mouth the CW, Torchwood, or Doctor Who. Not happening. We've been there, John. We've been there, John. You know, Russell and the BBC took Torchwood to the Stars Network, Torchwood Miracle Day, and it was an unmitigating disaster. We don't want to see that again. We want the BBC to produce Torchwood. We want Russell T Davies to at least executive produce, which he would anyway. It's his show. He created it. It may be part of the license of Doctor Who with BBC America, but he would have a big say whether this ever happens. Now, Chris Chibnall maybe could do Torchwood if he gave Doctor Who maybe a year off or something, which I'm okay with, right, if he wanted to do that. But I don't think with about 2 or 3 years till the 60th anniversary, that's a thing that's going to happen. But I think just to see that Captain Jack was brought onto Doctor Who tells you, very excitingly, that they're thinking of doing this. But not with the CW. The CW network are a terrible network. I would want no involvement with that. Let's be clear. John was desperate. He's desperate to bring this character back. He's desperate to bring Torchwood back. So am I, John. But don't utter the words CW, Torchwood, and Doctor Who in the same sentence again. We want to go back to the prolific original series where they're in Wales, they're doing their thing, and there's an arc, and it's brilliant. And I'll be up for that. I love Torchwood. Torchwood is awesome. No question about it, we want it back. I agree with John. There's a better chance of getting Torchwood back now than ever before, because there seemed to be an atmosphere, and Torchwood Miracle Day did air during Moffat's run of Doctor Who. There always seemed, from Stephen Moffat, a resistance to go the RTD way or kind of embrace anything that RTD brought. For me, one of the pitfalls of Stephen Moffat, and I love Stephen, by the way, I'm a big fan of his, I think he's a great guy, but he was obsessed with his very own Doctor Who legacy. And that's what ruined his era of Doctor Who at times. He came up with some good stuff, don't get me wrong. He was too focused on his own legacy and being remembered. And he will be remembered for a lot of wonderful things and a lot of not so wonderful things. His era is mixed. The only one who's touched Doctor Who since he's come back, and we can say, wow, it's Russell T Davies at this point. Now, maybe going forward, Chris Chibnall can win fans over. And I want to discuss that a bit later on with what he's attempting to do, because I think there's a way he can win fans back with this really brave, bold kind of narrative he's creating by bringing back, or bringing these doctors we didn't know existed, right? But I think Chris Chibnall is a different animal. I think Chris Chibnall is more open to what Russell did. He understands being a producer of an iconic show means you have to embrace what other creatives brought to the table. Stephen Moffat's a different animal, right? So I think Torchwood will be back in the next couple of years. This is what I think is going to happen. We may not get Torchwood in the next 3 years. I think everything now, Doctor Who-wise, is building up to the 60th anniversary, so I've been told. So I think we'll see Captain Jack once next year, next season, and the season before. Then he'll be part of this massive 60th anniversary, which I think is going to be bigger than the 50th. I think Chris is going to bring it. I think Chris is going to bring something magnificent. And if only you people who were so against it, because you're so against change, and I understand, when you've been watching something and it's been a certain way, it's hard to embrace it. I get it. But if you just sit back and let this unravel and judge it when it's done, after it's all done in the next 3 years, then judge it. By all means, then react to it. I would be more kind of respectful of your views. Now, I've noticed that I get no likes for these videos. My last Doctor Who video had 1 like, 1 dislike. The one before had 2 dislikes. I'm a small YouTuber. You can dislike me. You can like what I say. But there is an element of logic to what I'm saying. So I believe in the next 3 years, it's all focused on the 60th, on what Chris is attempting to do. And I think once we've had the 60th, maybe Torchwood will come back. I believe that Torchwood is already slightly being developed. I don't know who could run it. I don't know if RTD would want to come back. And if RTD, because that's the thing with Miracle Day as well. He wrote the premiere of that episode. He wasn't as involved as he was before. I think this is Torchwood is Russell T Davies' Doctor Who spin-off. He created it. If he could find the time in between what else he's doing, the wonderful stuff he's doing, and take the clay with both of his hands and mould it, I would be very, very happy with that. And that would excite me. Now, unless they got another showrunner that I respected or something like that, then it will be problematic. But I think that's what's going to happen in the next 3 years. Now, next, we are going to preview this week's episode of Doctor Who. Yes, so, right, let's look at the synopsis for this week's Doctor Who. Now, I've been trying to find the title of this episode. It was given to me yesterday. I lost it somewhere, and I can't remember it. So, I can't tell you the title, but it's not extremely important, is it? There's loads of YouTubers who will know all that stuff, I'm sure, somewhere. Anyway, this is the synopsis. From ancient Syria to present-day Sheffield and out into the wilds of space, something is stalking the Doctor and her friends. As Graham, Yaz and Ryan return home to see friends and family, they find themselves haunted by very different experiences. Interesting. Who is the figure calling from behind the stars for help, and why? And what of the fearsome Tigaskas terrorising the Aleppo in 1380? 1380. Wow. To find the answers, Team TARDIS embark on a mission that forces them to face their darkest fears. Now, this isn't the first time that Doctor Who companions have been put through this. I think there was a season 5 episode, and I forgot what it was called. Is it Amy's Choice or something like that? This sounds kind of similar, but this sounds very darker. This is obviously going to have a connection to the lone Cyberman. It's obvious to me. Who is the figure calling from beyond the stars for help? Definitely the lone Cyberman. I haven't been told this. I don't know this for sure. But this sounds like a very, very good episode. I don't think it's going to have much of the arc. Already by the end of last week's episode, she said to the TARDIS, "You're trying to distract me, aren't you?" Which I like. That's very Doctor. So even though I don't think they're going to mention what's going on with Joe Martin's Doctor, Ruth's Doctor, Dr. Ruth, whatever you want to call her, I think the lone Cyberman thing that Captain Jack referred to last week is going to be referred here. Now, I'm not necessarily thinking this is the Cyberman episode. We may see the Cyberman. I think the Cyberman may be in the 2-part finale. I'm not sure. I think it's bigger than a standalone episode, but I could be wrong. I don't know what episode 7 is, but I know that 7 and 8 will probably be kind of a self-contained. 8, then 9 and 10 will be the double finale. Very, very exciting. But this sounds brilliant because I think they're kind of travelling all over the place. The companions are haunted by their darkest fears. That, again, is very exciting. Now, again, Chris Chibnall, whoever's writing this episode, has decided to separate the companions from the Doctor. Now, this used to happen now and again in New Who, before Chris Chibnall. This happens all the time. And as I said before, this is the problem with having 3 companions. If you just have them tagging along with the Doctor, you've got 4 people you've got to get conversations from, but they want the Doctor doing other things. And this is what I love about this year's Doctor Who season 12. You really get the point through the writing and through Jodie's brilliant performances how alone the Doctor feels. The Doctor has always felt like the character that knows everything. But with what's been revealed to her this year, she's like thinking, WTF, I absolutely know nothing about the universe that I've been travelling around for all this time. That scares her. That would always scare the Doctor because he's always known more than the next man or the next woman. So the Doctor's in a really scary place this year. And I love this fleshing out of this character. I've never thought we would get so deeply within the Doctor's psyche this year. And I'm really, really excited about that. This sounds like a really, really good episode. And this episode actually excites me a great deal from the synopsis. And to be honest with you, all round, this has been a great season so far. And I think it's been exciting. And I think we're getting to know this Doctor. We're slowly embracing her. Or some of us are. Right. Let's talk about the people who are not happy. Let's talk about the people who will never be happy. There's some people who will never accept Jodie as the Doctor because she's a woman. Some people won't accept her because they feel she shouldn't have been cast. Maybe another woman should have been cast or a woman shouldn't have been. I don't know. I mean, with you people who think there were other women who were had more screen presence to do this, I agree with you. But I still feel that Jodie is a really, really good artist. And considering she doesn't seem to have the lead character presence, she's doing a formidable job. That's to be fair. And I think slowly but surely, I think I'm going to fall in love with her totally as the Doctor. That's how I'm feeling right now. Last year I wasn't. Last year I was talking about, politics. I was talking about, was this a political decision? Was Jodie the right woman to be chosen? Chris Chibnall has created a Doctor Who series that's just watered down after episode 3. That's how I saw it last year. But everyone can change their minds because what I love about what Chris Chibnall's done this year is he's looked at season 11 and he said, right, this is my intro season. I've mentioned the Timeless Child. We had a villain of the season. The Doctor faced him in the finale. Then we had the Dalek special, right? Now we're going really for it. Now we're going to really do my era arc. And he's looked at it and he said, right, I didn't have much classic Doctor Who, not in terms of classic Doctor Who where, pre-New Who, but I mean Doctor Who characters, things that are synonymous with Doctor Who. It was more of the style of the classics in the way that the pace was really slow. the character interaction was all right, but there wasn't this excitement with the companions or the Doctor like we had in previous New Who. Although, let's be honest, Peter Capaldi's Doctor Who, although I love Capaldi as the Doctor, weren't the greatest era of New Who or Doctor Who. Let's be honest. People kind of buried that under the carpet and said, yeah, it was a great era, great Doctor, and gunning for Jodie all the time. So how can we... There's some people on Doctor Who will never please. So people are upset because potentially there could be another 12 Doctors being revealed before Hartnell. There's already one. But we don't know that. The truth is we don't know where she's placed within the canon. We don't know it, but probably she's before Hartnell, or maybe between Pertwee and... God, I forgot his name already. You're going to call me out for being a Troughton. Yeah, Troughton and Pertwee. Listen, I don't remember anyone's name, so don't start. So anyway, she could be pigeonholed there. But there's one thing for sure. I think there's another 12 Doctors to be revealed, potentially before Hartnell. I think it's interesting. For the people saying he's just nicking ideas from Moffat and RTD, I don't agree. I don't agree with that at all. I think, yes, Moffat introduced a new Doctor that we never heard of and never knew in the placing of the canon. But this is something a lot bolder and a lot more exciting and a lot more brave. Because if he's actually introducing another 12 Doctors, 13 Doctors altogether, before the Doctor, and he makes the Time Lords, these evil people who raped and pillaged this technology from another world, or took this technology from a child, that is massive. And it changes the canon of Doctor Who a little bit, but it changes it in a more exciting way, as far as I'm concerned. So how can we please people who can be pleased, and are genuinely just upset that there's change, that there's, it's not their Doctor Who anymore, right? Well, Susan, I think, is a great placeholder here, because Susan can't be the Doctor. That would be ridiculous. But she could maybe have unravelled this conspiracy, and she's maybe been leading these other Doctors. Maybe these Doctors have been able to unite and try and find a way around this. We don't know what this arc is. That's the problem. When you lose your shit about something and you don't have all the facts, you look kind of silly. And it's like you have an agenda, right? Now, if you don't like Doctor Who anymore, who am I to tell you that's not right? That's not the point. The point is, I think we all need to get all the facts. Think about this. Think about this. This time last year, I wasn't very excited about Doctor Who. I didn't know the man was going to go and do this. Now we're all talking about it. We're all excited. We're all theorising. We're all doing what we were doing during the Bad Wolf arc and the Harold Saxon arc and the Torchwood, when Torchwood was just a name and we didn't know what it was. The bees are going missing in season 4. It's exciting again. Doctor Who is exciting again and getting people talking. Surely that's a good thing for the Doctor Who franchise. Anyway, what do you think about this week's upcoming episode? What do you think about the potential of Torchwood coming back? And what do you think about the potential of Susan knowing these previous 13 incarnations that we didn't know about of the Doctor? Like, share and subscribe, please. Comment down below. Share the video and share the channel, please. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who. So please join me, because I love Doctor Who. And I know deep, deep down you love it too. And you want to give this show a chance. So please do.